I'm humbled to be in front of such a group of professionals, but I'm also excited about this. Uh-oh, my paper is backwards here. I took the job as building and zoning official in 2007, and I knew absolutely nothing about floodplain management. Not that I know a lot more today, but back then I really knew nothing. And what happened was a series of events over the years. In 2007, about 3 weeks after I took the job, I was informed that, oh, yeah, by the way, you're the floodplain manager too. And I thought, uh-oh. And this is what happened. Our city was inundated by a 1% event. I didn't really know what to do, but thankfully, Paul Osmond came out of the bushes and said, here, this is how it works. You have to get into every building, you have to do this, he walked me through it. And he's basically walked me through it ever since then. Paul is my mentor. But stumbling and bumbling, the city engineer and I, we did manage to make it through our first major flood. We worked real hard at being better prepared for the next event, which showed up in 2008. That was an all-time record event, higher than anything we had seen. And anyone who has had to declare a school substantially damaged, and that's a school underwater, understands the seriousness of sound floodplain management. Having no school for 450 children is a serious, big issue. After the flood of 2008, we realized we needed better information. At that point in time, we applied to the CRS. We studied for our CFM exam and joined this organization. That year, we adopted higher regulatory standards. In March of 2009, we had another serious flood event. This time, we were at the Illinois conference, and it was apparent at that point that we were a little bit better. We're getting better at our floodplain management skill. In 2010, we had a major ice event. The Army Corps of Engineers and IDNR sent the cold water team to find out what was going on. And they told me they had never seen anything like this before. We had about 22 feet of ice upstream ready to come downstream at us. The resultant flash flooding opened our eyes to something we hadn't seen before. And that December, we had a serious rain event over frozen ground. So we were really learning some hard lessons on the fly. And then in April of 2013, we had the all-time record event. This event was 1.5 feet higher than anything we had ever seen. It was one of those that we couldn't actually grasp the magnitude of it because we were involved in fighting it. At that time, we actually had 2 weeks before this flood, we had submitted our flood threat recognition and response plan for credit to the CRS. And it got put to the test, and it worked out extremely well. Without that, we would have been lost. We would have lost our wastewater treatment plant. We would have lost probably the high school. It would have been a disaster. So this idea, this effort of belonging to the CRS, belonging to organizations like this, it pays off at the local level when you adopt and enforce higher regulatory standards. Most of Senator Resin's district looked just like that. And then what happens after that is that the legislators, the press, the IEMA, everybody shows up. And I'm happy to say that, you know, it's 2.5 years later, and my senator is still at this. She's still, how do we make this better? Because what she wanted to know after this meeting was why all the other communities in her district suffered so bad. I mean, hospitals, police stations, schools, everybody got water. In Ottawa, during that flood, we lost some picnic tables. We found them on eBay a couple days later. We lost some docks, boat docks, but we had no no infrastructure damage at all. We had no life lost, thank God. There was one person in LaSalle County that did die, didn't turn around and drowned. But that being said, Senator Resin said, would you mind sharing this with other communities? And I said, that's what it's all about. You bet. And at the time, I was the chair of the Floodplain Management Committee for the Illinois chapter, and I thought, what a wonderful opportunity we have here, that we have a legislator who's interested in pulling together this collaborative effort at the local level.